Hello FIGGIE fiends and collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000, back again with another Star Wars The Black Series figure review. Today we're going to have a look at an exclusive figure that came out last year. It is none other than the Hoth Wampa, of which comes in this very shiny style box. You know, the packaging is lovely, I have to say. It's probably one of the main features that I like about this figure. It is a repack essentially of the Hoth Wampa that was a deluxe set, which came with well, actually the Luke that's pictured there and that he's got grasped in his hands. But this set just literally comes with the Hoth Wampa. These are just sort of like examples what you can do with the figure in a sort of a homage to the original vintage Kenner style box. Where you've got Luke there hanging in front of the Wampa. You've got just a nice shot of the Wampa there, if you can kind of see that. And then on the back you've got a big shot of the Wampa itself dragging Luke away from the Tauntaun. And that Tauntaun was available with the Han at the same time that the Wampa and the Luke was released. So I would like to see that re-released again, just with a repaint. But the figures themselves, the Luke and the Han, they have been re-released this year into the archive line, so you can get those. And well, naturally I need to get the Luke to go with this, so I should probably get onto that soon. Of course, on that you've got the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back in the corner there, just because it was celebrating the anniversary of that. And I think this figure was a good choice. There you go, that is pretty much the packaging, just more shots there. You've got a bit of a bio on the Wampa, which I will include in the bottom in the description. You've got Kenner Star Wars Black Series, Empire Strikes Back, then at the top Hoth Wampa and the Wampa itself, and then a ton of legal garb on the other bottom side there. So like I did say, this wasn't exclusive, it wasn't a convention exclusive, but naturally because conventions weren't a thing last year because of the current situation, they just pretty much offered these as online exclusives effectively. So yeah, that's the packaging. The Wampa would sit in this big chunky box here. Enough about the packaging, onto the figure itself, which like I said is a re-release of the Wampa that came out a couple of years ago. This time however it does feature some removed paint application to make it a bit more PG friendly. They've taken the blood away from the mouth, of which the original one did have. So yeah, you've got a clean Wampa now if you did want a clean Wampa. So this is a very chunky figure, just super awesome. In terms of paint application, there's not a hell of a lot going on. There is sort of like a different variation in the colour in the arms and the front here, but yeah, nothing to really bring out all the fur, although the natural lighting does sort of do that anyway. And of course you got his face there and the horns. He's sort of like snarling, which is pretty sweet. Not a hell of a lot going on with this figure, and it's kind of disappointing given the lack of accessories. The only real accessory he comes with is, if you can even call it an accessory, you can remove his arm from the socket. You've kind of got like a cauterized blood wound there as well, which is pretty sweet. I just wish they'd sort of redesigned this, put the articulation in that arm there. So if they remolded this and put, you know, just had this flipped so you could, you know, actually articulate the arm other than just having it as a swivel. Would have liked that. Would have liked if they actually included the articulation so you could actually pose the arm. I think they could have easily included some bones or just something a bit more. Just something a bit more to add more value and more exclusivity, I suppose, to the figure. But yeah, I did really want this guy because I did miss out on him the first time. So this is not me being ungrateful or anything, but some additional things, again, would have just elevated this thing even more in the reason to buy and cool radar for some people, I suppose. Nonetheless, he's just chunky. He's a big chunky figure, and really fun to actually hold in hand and pose. In terms of articulation, he has a ball jointed head, although it's very limited due to how the head is shaped, but there is a tiny bit of a tilt in there, a bit of a wiggle. You can turn it slightly. It's very limited. In this arm he's got a ball jointed shoulder, ball jointed elbow and a ball joint in the wrist. The only difference in this arm is literally just there's a swivel there instead of a ball joint. Everything else is the same. Ball joint in the top half of the torso and the bottom half as well, so you can get a fair amount of articulation there. there's 2 joints. Ball jointed hips, swivel at the top of the thigh. Ball hinged knee, which is kind of limited in how far it can go up. Ball jointed ankle with a rocker joint. So you can get this guy into some fairly dynamic attacking or brooding poses, but that's pretty much a lot for him. Like I said, just fairly disappointed that they didn't really include something a little bit extra just to add to the figure. Nonetheless, that's the Wampa. He's a chunky boy. I like him. I know this review was incredibly short, but there's not really much to talk about. I think it is definitely one of the weaker San Diego Comic Con exclusives, but it's not bad at all. It's fine. It is what it is, and is somewhat justified because it is celebrating the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. So that's pretty much it for this figure and this review. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? If not, comments below. Sound off. This is me, Daniel East 1000, signing off, and thank you very much for watching.